Today I'm going to be sharing with you 7 deadly mistakes health professionals are making that keep them from massive success. If you're a health professional who wants to grow your online coaching business and you're stuck, plateaued, burnt out, not seeing the results that you want, this video is for you. Hey guys, what's going on? Derail King here, CEO and founder of Healthpreneur. We help health professionals build scalable coaching businesses that transform more lives. I'm going to share 7 dream killers with you here. These are 7 mistakes I have personally made in my 20 years in business, starting back in 2005 online. And obviously I've seen these repeat themselves over and over again. I mean, after having helped thousands of other health professionals build their coaching businesses. So everything I'm sharing with you here, first and foremost, comes from my personal experience of I made all these mistakes. And I went through the journey of building, initially struggling in business online for the first 3 years, living on poverty line income as I transitioned from working as an in-person trainer and nutritionist to building the online dream, which didn't happen for quite some time. I want to spare you the struggle, and hopefully this accelerates your progress without as many of the potholes along the way. Okay, so without any further ado, let's dive right in. So the first mistake that I see a lot of health professionals make is actually that they're too smart. And here's why I say this, is if you have a brick and mortar clinic or a gym, people see it. They walk down the street, they fall into your lap. Cool, chiropractor, naturopath, I'm just gonna go there. Google search, naturopath close to me, find someone, I go. When you're building a business online, that never happens. Especially, unless you have a massive, massive online platform to begin with, which I'm assuming 99.9% of you guys don't have, right? That's not the position I was in when I started either. When you come online, the field of dreams, build it and they will come, doesn't exist. So what that means is that the letters behind your name do not entitle you to a successful business. Because it doesn't matter how good or how smart you are if no one knows who you are. So what you did yesterday, what you did last year, what you've done in the past doesn't matter at all when you come into a space where no one knows you exist. And what that means is you have to earn your keep. So for example, I played professional soccer. I'm a New York Times bestselling author. I've built and sold a multiple 7-figure business in the health space. I've helped 500,000 people to better health. I've been on the Dr. Oz show. I've been on the doctors. I've done pretty much everything most people are trying to do online. But none of that stuff matters. Because if I just sit back and rest on my laurels of I planted all those seeds, I deserve to be making it now, it's never going to happen. No one cares about that stuff. Now, the good news, although being too smart can be a mistake, and I'll come back to this in a second, it's also your superpower. Because when you come online, there's a lot of people who are trying to be smart and trying to be experts who are not. So the fact that you've been in the trenches, you've gone to school, you've worked with hundreds of patients or clients or more, gives you a very important advantage in the online landscape that is littered with gurus who don't know what they're doing. So put that aside for a second, but it's a really important thing, the technical ability you have. The challenge though is that unless you understand how to put yourself out there and build awareness around what you do, none of that stuff matters. And sometimes being too smart can be a bit of a crux because, for instance, in my case, I graduated summa cum laude from one of the top universities in the world. I always excelled at what I did. I loved school. I was smart, at least to some degree. So when I started my business online, I thought because I was smart, I could figure this out by myself. And it was the stupidest thing I could have done because I spent 3 years trying to get traction. My first year online, I made $6,000. You're not living life on $6,000. So I'm sure you know a lot of people in your life, or you've seen them elsewhere, who don't seem to be that sharp. They haven't graduated university or high school, and they have built these massive businesses. And you might say to yourself, how on earth is this possible? I'm smarter than that person. Listen, I get it, but no one cares, okay? Well, I'm sure this is because the very fact that you have all the letters behind your name is a good starting point. It's kind of like when you go to the arcade, not that you go to the arcade, I'm assuming, but back in the day when you went to the arcade and you had all these coins to play the video games, the fact that you have this smart background and the letters behind your name and your technical skills is like you've now entered the arcade with your tokens. But that's it. Now you have to play the game and you have to win. You have to get better and you have to play every day. You can't just stand there with tokens being like, why am I not winning the game? okay? So being too smart can sometimes be a crux, although it's a very important starting point because it means you're an expert and people want experts to work with them. That's the first thing. Second mistake I see a lot of health professionals make, and this is not just health professionals, but this is just people in general, is being overly detail-oriented, needing to know every single detail about how this is going to work out. I need to know exactly how much ad spend I'm going to spend and exactly what the numbers look like and exactly what the return on ad spend is going to look like. And if I post something, exactly how many impressions. Shut the fuck up, okay? It's not how it's done. When you went to school, did you know every single detail about your third year course around human physiology even before you entered first year? No. But yet when we come into the world of business and we're looking for some type of guidance or mentorship, we want all of this certainty in an uncertain world. If you want certainty, here's what to do. Stay in the brick and mortar, bang your head against the wall, working 14 to 16 hours a day, and that's certainty. Certainty of misery. Or you can do what a lot of smart people do and stay in academia and work in a cubicle and maybe get tenure if you're lucky 10 to 15 years down the road. There you go. Have some fun with that. But if you actually want to have a life, if you actually want to make a lot more money in the service of other people, and you want to have a lot more freedom so you can actually be with your family and do things, then certainty is not part of the equation. And if you're not okay with that, please stop watching this video and go back to what you were doing before. Because the world does not need more people looking for certainty in an uncertain world. What the world needs and what your audience needs is someone who is willing to take the bull by the horns and say, I don't know what this is going to look like, but I'm going to figure it out. If other people like me have done this before, then I can do this as well. It's super important. Like, you're not going to know what everything looks like. How can you possibly know what the other side of fog looks like unless you drive through it? This is not an airplane with instrument flight rating systems where you're flying through clouds and you know exactly what's coming miles down the road. It's not the same. It's almost like flying VFR, which is visual flight rules, which is saying if I can't see what's in front of me, I can't see what's in front of me, okay? But you have to be able to believe in yourself enough to move forward, because if you don't, this is the single, probably the biggest thing, and it's a mindset. One of the biggest things I see people like, what does this look like? I'm a regulated in the States. Well, now all of a sudden I can't do anything outside of my state if I'm online. Therefore, I can't do anything online. Okay, cool. Let me ask you this. Were you doing anything outside of your state in your brick and mortar? No. So what's the difference? If you're helping people in California, 30 some odd million people, why all of a sudden when you come online, do you need to help the world? You'll be just fine if you act as a medical professional in the state of California, even if you're working with clients or patients virtually. Like, it's so backwards. Don't worry about details that do not matter. Like, and this will actually lead to the third thing, okay? So this is a nice segue. So overly detail-oriented. You're not going to know what, like, being an entrepreneur is not the same as being a technical health professional. You can be an amazing naturopath. You can be an amazing health coach. You can be an amazing doctor. That does not mean in the slightest that you have what it takes to be successful in business. Not everyone's cut out for business, but if you're watching this, something inside of you is saying, maybe it is. But you got to be you have to be okay with the fact that you're not going to have all the details every single step of the way. You will get clarity as you move forward. Anyways, the third big mistake, especially with health professionals transitioning online, is worrying about legalities. Let me ask you a question. I've been online since 2005. Okay, so I helped 500,000 people in my first business to better health, who I never met in person. And with Healthpreneur in the past 7 years, we've helped over 1,300 health practitioners build their businesses so they can help hundreds of thousands of people collectively to better health. So my question to you is this: do you know how many times me or any of my clients have run into legal issues in the past 20 years? I'll give you a second to think about that. Okay, got your answer? Here's the correct one. 0. 0. Not once. Never. Nada. Now, I'm not saying you should not take steps to set up your business properly. Basic insurance protection, set up a corporation, basic stuff. Do not ask me in the comments about any of that. I will not answer you because it is not an important question. You can take care of that in an afternoon. But what some health professionals get stuck on is they spend all of their time around this stupid shit that doesn't mean anything and it doesn't matter. The likelihood of anything happening to you legally is close to zero if you're doing stuff by the book. Now, if you're doing shady stuff, which I'm sure you're not because I don't attract those types of people into my world, that's a different story. But if you're watching this and if you're in my ecosystem, you're probably a good person. So there's nothing to worry about, okay? Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving you legal advice, but I'm just telling you this is what I've seen. This doesn't happen all the time. Some people are so worried about, oh my God, what is my governing board going to do to me if I practice online? Here's what I did. I'm not saying you should do this, but here's what I did. So in 2005, I had the designation of a certified kinesiologist. I was working as a trainer and nutritionist, and I was looking to transition online, and the governing board for that thing, the CK, Certified Kinesiologist, said, hey, you can't do anything online. And I said, take your designation and shove it up, you know what. So I decided to get rid of that designation because it doesn't strip me of my skill set to help people. So I said to myself, am I going to be confined to a prison of trading time for dollars for the rest of my life because I'm worried about a couple letters behind my name? No. In my case, I said, fuck it. I don't care about this stuff. I don't need it. It doesn't, like, the very fact that I removed this from the end of my name doesn't take away my skill set. So in my case, I said, I have a much bigger vision for my future. This is keeping me stuck and playing small. I said, I don't care. I don't need it. We've had some clients, and I know many others, who were naturopathic doctors in a very militant, almost fascist states called Ontario, Canada, where I live, which is one of the worst jurisdictions to be a health professional in terms of the stupid red tape and stuff like that. And many of them said, I don't even care. I don't even want to practice as a naturopathic doctor. Who cares, right? There's obviously a couple things that kind of go with that, maybe along the lines of like injections and IVs and stuff like that. Obviously the specifics, who cares? But generally the thing is, like, they made the decision to no longer practice within that box and said, I want to work as a health consultant, right? Not necessarily a doctor, outside of this jurisdiction because I don't want to deal with the nonsense. So I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just sharing with you that that's one option. Some of our clients continue to practice as medical professionals within their licensed states, and that's totally fine, and there's a major opportunity there. And a lot of them as well say, I'm not going to work as a medical doctor. I'm going to work as a health consultant across state lines, and there's no issues, okay? Not once, zero, nada, never has there ever been an issue in my experience with 500,000 people served on the business to consumer side, and across all of our clients, thousands now, and the hundreds of thousands of people they have served, not once has there been a legal issue for any reason at all. Okay? So I just wanted to mention that because it's not that important. It's not something you should spend months or years deliberating on because it's only an excuse to deliberate and procrastinate. Don't do it. Okay, mistake number 4 is being a generalist. One of the challenges of being a health professional is that you may have become successful in spite of yourself. Most practices, whether it's a chiropractic office or a naturopath clinic or anything else like that, most of them are not specialized, right? So you take this very general, we help with everything. We do everything under the sun. People walk in, they fall in your lap, they're here for acne, GI issues, asthma, weight loss, hormone stuff. It doesn't matter. They fall into your lap. And that's why I say you become successful in spite of yourself. However, when you're looking to build an online coaching business, no one knows you exist. No one's coming to your website. Doesn't matter. So now no one's falling into your lap. So you actually have to proactively reach out, put messaging out there, get in front of your perfect audience, and then somehow bring them into your world. Well, how's that going to work out if you try to help everyone? Hey, I'm a naturopath and I help everything and everyone under the sun. Cool. Let me ask you this. If you have, well, right now we have a bit of a leak in our basement. And do you know who we're not calling? We're not calling a jack of all trades. We're calling someone specific who deals with water damage, and a plumber, and someone who's an expert in that area, right? If you have a roofing issue, you call a roofing expert. So no one wants a generalist. You don't go to the third best sushi restaurant in your city. You look for the best one. We're all typing in best Italian restaurants, right? Or whatever your favorite food is. No one types in fourth best Italian restaurants or best Italian, Japanese, Mexican seafood restaurants. That would be crazy. Like, you're not going to get the best food at a buffet. You go to a restaurant that specializes in that type of cuisine. Why should your business be any different? But Yuri, I'm going to alienate people. Welcome to the world. You're going to help 8 billion people? Really? You're never going to help 8 billion people, not in a million lives. So you can choose to be a generalist and to become commoditized and become price chopped because everyone else is going to be comparing you based on your label of nutritionist, health coach, naturopath, chiropractor, not based on your expertise. Oh, well, the other chiropractor is charging $75 an hour, you're charging $95. I'm going to just go over there. And now you become a commodity. You're no different than anyone else because you've chosen to become a generalist, as opposed to saying, I am the person who specializes in sciatica for women specifically. Oh, well, I don't know many other chiropractors who do that. All of a sudden, you become in demand. So moving from being a generalist, which I call the dead zone, into at least becoming a specialist is very, very important for the success of your business online. Because when you proactively put yourself out there, that means putting words in front of people, putting content in front of people. And at some level, there needs to be congruency and alignment. So if all of the stuff you put out there is around sciatica for women, do you think that those people eventually are going to know you as that person? Yes, but it's going to be very confusing to them and a lot more work for you if you try putting out content for that, and also acne, and also foot pain, and also headaches, and also et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Do you get where I'm coming from? And once you enroll people, should you, in that type of fashion, delivery becomes close to impossible because now everyone's a special snowflake. You have no leverage, you have no systemization because everyone is doing something different. You can't have a streamlined delivery when you have 20 different clients on 20 different things. Okay, so being a generalist is one of the biggest mistakes that will cripple your ability to build a successful business, especially online. Number 5 is over-investing in technical skills versus business skills. Years ago, I was reading a publication that was for the chiropractic profession, and I don't know if it was Chiropractic Economics or I don't even know if that's the magazine. It could be something totally different. But I remember seeing an article at the end of it, and they said, here's where chiropractors are investing in continuing education, right? Or like where they're investing their developments. Number 1 was continuing education, right? Like a weekend seminar to learn how to do traction or soft tissue work, whatever it is. At the very bottom of 12 things, the very, very bottom of 12 different things was business and marketing education. And I thought that was not surprising, but very disappointing. And I think it just goes to show the state of the industry, which is unfortunately going to be shifting in a very dramatic fashion. Remember, there's always going to be a time and place for brick and mortars. But as soon as you make the shift online, number 1, the opportunity is just incredibly huge. There is like the ceiling you have in your brick and mortar of having to work so many hours a day, trading time for money. All of that stuff goes by the wayside as soon as you start helping people online. But the challenge is, if you don't develop your business skills, you will have no business. That was the fundamental challenge I dealt with when I first started online, is I had no clue around messaging. I had no clue about business strategy. I had no clue around positioning or how to make an offer or how to speak with prospective clients who never knew I existed to say, hey, here's how I can help you. Here's how much I charge. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. I didn't know any of the technical stuff around emails, CRMs, all that stuff. And the technical stuff, to be honest, is the least important out of all this, right? A lot of people focus, this could actually be another mistake, is focusing on the technology instead of the psychology. The tech, who cares? It's so simple. Who gives a like, it doesn't matter if you don't know how to set up an opt-in page. That is so easy to do once you figure it out, right? Which will take a little bit less time than you think. The bigger issue is not understanding how to tap into your market psychology, because your messaging is everything. If you can't speak to what your audience is going through, nothing else matters. Anyways, so not understanding or not investing in your business skills is a very, very big problem. You are not good enough by yourself to have a business just blow up. No one is going to know about you. So remember, like, again, in the context of building a business online, no one knows you exist. And if they do, I'm happy for you. That's amazing. But still, the goal is, if your technical skills are like this and your business skills are like this, the goal is to expand the business skills so that they almost like eclipse, like a solar eclipse, where the business skills and the technical skills merge, because that's how you're going to have the greatest impact. The only reason that I moved from helping consumers with health, weight loss, etc., into then coaching on business is because I became so dangerously good on the business side that other health professionals started asking me for business advice. It wasn't something I like, oh my God, in 10 years, I'm totally doing this, or I didn't have a good month and now I'm teaching others how to build a business. I built a business for 13 years to multiple 7 figures. And then other colleagues were like, hey man, how are you doing this? And I said, oh, okay, so 80% of my time nowadays is spent building the business. Whereas earlier on, it was all technical. If all of your work is spent with patients or clients, you're working in the business. You're not building the business. And so if you want to go to the next level, you have to understand how to build your business, how to build the necessary skills around the CEO mindset, how to make decisions based on data, what data to track, what your business model could and should look like based on where you want to go. It's not good enough anymore to just be a good practitioner. Now, it's also not good enough to just be good at business, because you have to be excellent at what you do. And that's, again, you've done the hard work. You've done the foundation. You are the expert, but you can't rest on those laurels and expect your business to take off. It's just not going to happen. The 6th mistake is undercharging. Why do health professionals undercharge? Well, 2 reasons. 1, they look at what their colleagues are charging, and that's the basis of comparison. Or number 2 is they want to help everyone. When I say they, I mean we. I was in that same boat. I used to make $20 an hour way back in the day. $20 an hour. No, not good. Okay? You cannot help people who do not invest in themselves. The more people pay, the more they pay attention. When people don't pay, they don't pay attention. It's not your job to help the world. It's, like no one can serve everyone on the planet. And this goes to being a generalist. When you specialize, you narrow down the people you can serve. When you increase your prices, you further refine that. But what's more important? Helping a lot of people and you burning out every step of the way and feeling like you're undercharging every single day and knowing that you should be earning more, but you're not, and having that bitterness against your business or the people you're serving? Is that really the type of business you want, like the life you want to live? Or would you rather love what it is you do, know that you're specializing in an area where you're the best in class, you charge accordingly for an outcome, not for your time, and guess what? Some people are going to say that's too expensive, and here's what you're going to say: bye, I'm sure you can find someone else down the road. Your job is not to help everyone. Your job is first and foremost to help yourself. Put your mask on before anyone else. But here's the cool thing about being a health professional. The only way to help yourself is by giving the maximum possible service to your patients or clients. Really quickly, we have one of our clients, Karen. So she helps people with multiple sclerosis, and she's doing very well. She's, doing close to about $65K per month online, and she charges a premium for what she does, right? Anywhere from between $5,000 to $7,000. We recently spoke with someone else who's not a client who also serves the same market. The difference was that this individual is charging $200 for an online course. $200 for an online course. And she has helped 13 people. You can do the math. 13 times 200 is not a lot of money. And guess what else? Those 13 people, did they show up and do the work? No, they didn't. And does that mean they got the help they deserved? No, they didn't. So essentially, you have someone here who has spent, in this case, years trying to build her online business, helping women with multiple sclerosis, charging $200, getting nowhere in terms of revenue or impact. Meanwhile, our client Karen is not only making money, right? That's the byproduct. But here's the big thing, is she has helped hundreds of people with MS go from wheelchairs to walking, from walking with a cane to being able to walk upstairs, okay? These are the changes that happen when you charge premium prices, is people actually show up and do the work. And if you want to transform more lives, you just have to get over the fact that people have to pay to do so. The public healthcare system, if you live in Canada like I do, or you're involved in the NHS in the UK, they're both a fucking disaster, right? We understand that. A lot of our clients come out of those medical matrices to work with us because they want to get to the root cause of their clients' issues, and they understand that system is fundamentally broken and is never going to work. The public healthcare system is an absolute joke. It's a disaster. And there is nothing you can say or anyone else that is going to change my conviction around that, because I've been living in Canada and paying taxes for my whole life. I've been in the system. I've been on the fringes of the system. And other than I broke my leg, I'm going to go get a cast, there is no benefit to what that system is doing to help chronic conditions for free. Meanwhile, here you are as an expert health professional who's going to say to someone, listen, you have this issue, I can help you solve it. It's going to be $5,000. And that person has two choices. They can go through the system and wait for years to hopefully get it better for free somehow, or they can pay out of pocket to work with you if they truly want what it is they say they want. It is not your job to cut your prices. It is not your job to offer them something for $10. It is your job to transform their health. Do not give tips and band-aids where transformation is required. Let other people do that. Do you think the Four Seasons Hotel is discounting the rooms because Motel 6 exists? No. They charge, $700 plus per night? And people are flocking to the Four Seasons. And there are many, many more people who will never stay at the Four Seasons Hotel. Does that mean Isidore Sharp, who's the founder of the Four Seasons, and all of their hotels are gouging people and criminals? No. It means they have a philosophy for the type of experience they want to create for their patrons, and that's the choice and the direction they're going. Meanwhile, Motel 6 has taken a very different path. They said, we're going to be the cheapest option. So when you're tired after a long drive, you can come stay in stain-filled sheets for $70 a night. Are they wrong? No, it's simply a decision. But I'll tell you this, I'm never going to stay at Motel 6 ever again. I stayed there once. I'm not going to get into that, but I will never go back there. And I've stayed at the Four Seasons multiple times, and I would much rather spend my money and my time there. You have the choice to run the business that you want. If you want to serve certain types of people, great. There's nothing wrong with that. You know who you can help. You know who you can't. You make a decision. You draw your line in the sand. You say, listen, this is what it's like. If you want in, cool. If not, you can go somewhere else. It's not about being exclusionary. It's about understanding who you can serve and who you can't. So, undercharging doesn't help anyone. Premium prices means you show up and provide a better service. Your clients show up and actually do the work because they're more committed. They get the results. You get more social proof and validation for your business. Everyone wins. Okay, final thing. The seventh mistake that holds a lot of health professionals back from success is a terrible business model. I alluded to this a little bit already. Your business model determines, to some degree, your success. Warren Buffett once said, it's not about how hard you row, it's the boat that you're in. So the boat that you're in, the business model you choose, is much more important than how hard you work. I'm not saying you shouldn't work hard and work smart, because you should. However, there's a very big difference. Like if you drive a supercar and you put your foot down, you will go much faster than if you put your foot down in a Toyota Corolla. No offense, my mom has one, Toyota Corolla. The choice we want to make is understanding, is the business model right for me, right? Based on what you want to do. And then understanding that, like, if it's not scalable, it's not sustainable. So let's look at two business models as an example really quick. The business model of creating content all day long and sending people DMs on Instagram. That's a common business model. All right, number one, does it work? 100% it works, right? That's actually it's one of the legs of our business, but it's not the primary leg because it's very, very labor intensive, and I don't even do it. Okay, I do the content piece and that's it. I don't do everything else. For one person to do the content, the syndication, the DMing, you won't have a life. Like you'll be in there all day long. So that's one path, that's one business model. And the business model is just creating content, being everywhere, all over the place, posting, living on your phone. I didn't want to do that when I started Healthpreneur. I said, I want to do one thing that I've done really well, and I want to just scale this to the moon. So for us, it was a perfect client pipeline, which is essentially ads to a webinar, webinar to a phone call to an enrollment. And that's the model that we teach our clients predominantly. Now, obviously, there are pros and cons with any business model you choose, but the nice thing is that for the time, let's call it the time input, the output opportunity or the outcome opportunity in those two business models becomes very different, especially if you have little to no following on social. However, if you have 1 million followers on social media, that first business model could make a lot of sense, right? Because if you have the right framework, systems, messaging sequences to tap into your audience, it can be very, very valuable. But if you have 100 people that follow you on Instagram, it's going to take some time. The beautiful thing about paid ads is that you don't need any following. Most of our clients don't have huge followings. They're not celebrities. They're just amazing medical professionals or health professionals. They click go on their ads and overnight, boom, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50K a month. I'm not saying overnight, I'm making it overly simplistic, right? But the ability to grow quickly and scale quickly with that type of model can happen so much faster than the previous one. And I share this because my first business was built on the first model. It took me 7 years to make my first $1 million. When I started Healthpreneur, it took me 7 weeks because I had a better vehicle. I had more leverage. I had more speed, okay? So the business model you choose is going to determine how quickly you grow and what you're doing in the business and what you have to focus on, right? So anyways, those are 7 big mistakes, very common mistakes that I've noticed in our space over the past 20 years. I hope they make sense for you. I'd love to know in the comments below which one of those 7 resonates most with you. And if you've enjoyed this video, remember to hit subscribe because we've got hundreds of other videos on the channel and new videos weekly coming your way to help you build a scalable coaching business that transforms more lives, including your own. So if you want more of the goods, hit subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. What I'm going to share with you here is a 3-step recipe for how I made this life, my life, possible by literally bending the universe to my will so that everything I want literally happens in my life.